Good afternoon. Today is day 43 of 50 Days of Wellness. And today I'm going to talk about the pelvic floor, a topic that I think that is, honestly, could say I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it on social media. Would not be uncomfortable at all sitting around talking about it with my friends. But I am, because I feel like they already know that I'm pretty comfortable talking about most wellness topics. But to bring this out to social media is a little bit uncomfortable. But I told myself when I started this 50 Days of Wellness journey that that I was going to be that I would be transparent and vulnerable, and that I would share things that would even make me uncomfortable sharing on social media, because I think it's important. And so, really interesting to me. A year ago, Style Blueprint asked me to write an article on pelvic pain, and the article was brought to them by a medical group that they work with, and one of the doctors that specializes in pelvic care. He's an OBGYN, and he made it his business to practice, to specialize in pelvic care, because so many women have pelvic pain, and it's not something that we would talk about, right? You're not going to talk about your pelvic pain at a dinner table or a dinner party, but you might talk about shoulder pain and neck pain. So in those types of conversations, we all will share that kind of pain with each other. You know, I have a shoulder pain. Oh, this is what I did. I went to this physical therapist, da, da, da. But no one's going to talk about their pelvic pain, right? They're not going to go, well, I have pelvic pain, and it's really hard for me to be intimate with my spouse because I'm struggling. It's just not something we want to talk about. But the reality is it's very common, and it's common for a lot of women. And so this doctor that I wrote the article for had actually been warned by his colleagues, like, when women say they have pelvic pain, there's really nothing you can do for them. And so just do your best, prescribe some medication for them, some pain pills for them. You might do some surgical interventions, but by and large, there's not much you can do for them. And he didn't like that answer. And this kind of goes hand in hand with that, the video post I made 2 nights ago, right? That you want to align yourself with doctors that are willing to expand their horizons, and not think that everything that they learned in medical school was it, that they continue to strive to find new ways to help care for human beings. That's it. That's what makes this world such an amazing place to live, is that we have people that care enough, and will go the extra mile with you. And when you're talking about your body, right, that one thing that you're going to carry with you your whole entire life, it's an important investment. It's the most important investment you can actually make. And so I applaud this doctor for doing this. So I really enjoyed my conversation with him. He talked to me a lot about, like, the pain that endometriosis causes, the scarring that's caused from endometriosis, the surgical procedures that you can do to try to mitigate the symptoms and the situation. But what really stood out for me was that he said when he works with women that are struggling and challenged with pelvic pain, either due to sexually transmitted diseases, or endometriosis, or problems with childbirth, right, that are related to childbirth, C-sections, whatever, that he always recommends that they work with a physical therapist that specializes in the pelvic floor. And so I wrote the article, moved on. I turned 50 this year. I'm meeting with my gynecologist, and I started asking her a lot of questions. And I'm like, look, I'm turning 50. I got to think that, like, that life is changing for me. I feel some things that have changed, and in many ways I still feel either like I did or better than I did in my 20s and my 30s. But I want to know more about, like, everything in my life. Like, what do I need to, like, I hear a lot about Kegel exercises for urinary incontinence, and I want to know, like, just all these procedures that they have out there. They've got all these things that they advertise, and sometimes you're like, do I need that? Should I do that? And so I was asking some questions, just being curious. And she said, we have just started working with Mojo here in Memphis, and they are pelvic floor specialists. They are physical therapists that specialize in the pelvic floor. And she said, I would be happy to do a referral for you so that you can find out and ask them more questions and get some more information. I got to be honest, she made the referral. They called me a couple times to set up the appointment. I didn't have a lot of time, and I hadn't called back. And through this 50 days of wellness, I was connected with them, Mojo, and Amy Moses of Mojo, and she and I were connected through this little 50 days of wellness thing that I'm doing, which is super cool. And I kind of say, wow, that's kind of like maybe a little that we were just meant to connect. And so once we connected, she was telling me a little bit about what she does, and I wanted to know more, so I set up an appointment with Amy. And I will tell you this, I would never recommend something for someone else if I hadn't put myself through it. So I wouldn't tell you to go to therapy if I've never gone to a therapist, right? Of any kind. So I was like, okay, let's do an examination. Tell me about me. And so Amy does this examination and she tells me things about me. And I will tell you, everything I thought I knew about me was incorrect. She literally said, nope, you're actually, and really what I appreciated is she was like, you're really, your organs are strong, your muscles are strong, you're strong. She goes, in fact, I might even say you're a little too strong in some places. And she said, I really wouldn't recommend Kegel exercises for you. She said, in fact, I feel in some places a lot of tension inside of your pelvic floor, and you need to work on releasing some of that tension, which is no surprise to me. I'm a pretty intense person. And, when we do yoga, we will say, and when you talk to physical therapist and acupuncturist, they will say we hold a lot of tension in our bodies. We carry our stress in our bodies, and we carry our stories in our bodies. And I'm going to talk more about that in another post. And then there are some medical doctors out there that will tell you that's all a myth because you can't prove it, right? Because you can't see somebody's story. But we know that tension exists in our bodies. And tension is a form or a symptom of stress. It is. They can be connected. Not all stress in the body is related to an injury caused from working out or an injury that you can pinpoint something back to. Some of what we carry in our bodies is due to stress. That's why doctors say that stress can cause heart attacks, right? Stress can cause issues in the body. And so what's funny about me is I don't necessarily feel stressed, but my body can tell a different story. If somebody is examining me, they can say, even my massage therapist, she'll say, you're holding it all here in your shoulders right now. Like it's here. I can feel it. Like just let it go. And I'm like, I'm letting go. Don't you feel me? I'm relaxed. And she's like, yeah, you're kind of relaxed. So not to digress, but to drive the point home that women, ladies, we don't all just generically need to be doing Kegel exercises. And what we have going on in our bodies is very personal and it is intimate. And if you are having some challenges like pelvic pain, and it is impacting your ability to be intimate with your partner, or you're experiencing urinary incontinence, don't just assume urinary incontinence is that Kegel exercises are the answer even for that. Amy says she sees a lot of women that think that they should be doing Kegel exercises because they have urinary incontinence. And really, the urinary incontinence is a result of fatigued muscles that are always engaged and active and on, and they need to be relaxed. And so I'm not going to sit here and give you a bunch of exercises for the pelvic floor. What I'm going to say is, if you live in the Memphis area, you can private message me, or you can look up Mojo Health on your own and get in contact with Amy Moses and her team and set an appointment for yourself and find out about your own body, because that's really what I've been trying to drive the point home in, is making sure that you're aligning yourself with doctors that can collaborate and work with other specialists that are willing to step outside of their box. And explore other complementary methods, and that you also take ownership of your own health so that you discover your own body and you do what makes sense for your body, and you work with people that are credible and reliable. And I think that you will find that with Mojo Health and Amy Moses and her team. And so again, you can private message me. I'm happy to connect you with them, but I do want to encourage you to step outside of the box a little bit, get some information about yourself, and be a little bit uncomfortable, I guess, and exploring things that maybe don't make sense to everyone else, but they're necessary for you to live the best life you can possibly live. Have a good day.